Hello, everybody. Well, I don't have a great tip for bettering your craft, but I've got a very serious point. I've got a big secret for you. And there's a question that I have been asked many, many times over, and I think I'm in the mood to answer it. The question was simple: how do I become an apprentice? And I don't think that a lot of the young men and the young women that have asked me that understand exactly what they're asking for. Because most people think, or most folks have it in their brain that, you just show up and, you go from there. You show up and you start learning all this stuff and it just like you go into school. Folks, it does not happen like that. If you want to be an apprentice, there are two things that you need to have. They are not talent. They are not ability. It is not hand and eye coordination. It is not knowledge. You need none of those things if you really want to be an apprentice. All of those things can be taught and learned from the master. The two most important things that you want to have to become an apprentice, and the two things that any master in his right mind is going to look for, is dedication and loyalty. That's it. And unfortunately, if you're from my generation or afterwards, you're going to be sorely lacking in those things. There was a time where dedication and loyalty was of the utmost importance. But sadly, because of the way our society works, and I'm not pointing any fingers, but the fact is that we don't have those strong bonds anymore. We don't have strong family ties. We don't have strong ties to our friends. It's basically a free-for-all most of the time. And I hate to say that about my generation, but we have so much that we rarely have to depend on anybody to cover us. And when they do, it's just, we don't think about it. I mean, how many children get a car for their 16th birthday? Now, their parents probably had to, scrape ice cream out of the gutter to pay for it. And they pay for their car. But, somebody that's handed it doesn't understand what it took to get it. And unfortunately, that's going to be the biggest hindrance to you becoming an apprentice. If you want to start out and you really want to impress a master, the first thing that you've got to do is you've got to do more than they do. You don't have to make beautiful works of art. But if they're there at 8 o'clock in the morning, you be there at 7:30. Not because they tell you to, but because you take the initiative. You show your dedication to the craft. You're dedicated enough to be there before they get there, and you're dedicated enough to stay there after they leave, not because they told you, not because they asked it, because that is what price you are willing to pay to learn what they know. Demonstrate your loyalty, and that is something that only takes time. When they need something, you drop whatever it is that you're doing and you see to it. Just like you would do for a friend. You need to go into the situation imagining that they just pulled you out of jail. That you and Bubba were about to get well acquainted and they rode in and bailed you out. That is the mentality that you need to have. Keep the mentality that you owe them, because you do. If you don't have that mentality, if you ever take the mentality that they owe you something, you're not cut out to be an apprentice. A lot of these crafts are not just crafts. They're not jobs. You don't go to college to learn them. These are passions. And that master, in whatever discipline he chose, not only spent the 30 years to learn what he did it because he loved it. And if you think that somebody is going to spend 30 years of their life and some teeny bopper is going to stroll up in the shop, I want to be such and such, if you think they're going to hand you anything, you are sorely mistaken. The first thing you're going to have to do is prove to them that you are worth investing in. And believe me, these masters are looking for somebody that's worth investing in. And maybe in the process you have to figure out if that's what you want to do. But that's the whole process. When Jay handed the shop over to me after that night in Andersonville, at the meeting, when he had his little speech laid out, he said to me, "Trent, I have been here for 30 years. I have seen hundreds of young men just like you come and go. The first week, blacksmithing is the greatest thing since sliced bread. He said in a month's time, they fade away. They didn't have the dedication. They did not have the loyalty. If you want to be a blacksmith's apprentice, you want to be a gunsmith's apprentice, you want to be an apprentice to anybody that has talent and skill, you have to prove your character before you ever have to prove your knowledge or your talent. Remember that.